At only 20 years old, Ermenegildo Zegna took over his father's small textile business. Starting out with just 3 looms, he founded the Lanificio, the woolen mill that still bears his name. Ermenegildo Zegna became the first to put his own name on fabrics, creating a quality brand for consumers. At the time, England and Scotland dominated the textile market, but the young Italian entrepreneur was determined to outclass his competitors. His focus on impeccable quality and raw materials, design, machinery, processes and workmanship gave him a worldwide reputation for fine fabrics, which by 1938 were being exported to over 40 countries.
He was so quality maniac that he started to write the recipes in these very small notebooks, how each fabric was built from a texture point of view, the recipe for the dyeing, and of course the cost.
Ermenegildo Zegna was an unusual businessman for the time. His factories were light and airy, creating a pleasant working environment. He was a humanitarian, believing he had a duty to care for his employees from the cradle to the grave. And he was convinced that using the latest technological advances would help him to realize his pioneering social vision.
He was a philanthropist, yes, because not only he used to be very attached to the business side, but he had a great humanity. He felt that he had to give something not only to the people working in the factory itself, but to the people outside, so allowing them to improve the quality of life.
Ermenegildo Zegna built schools, a hospital, sports and leisure facilities, even a theatre for his employees. As there was no distinction between his work and his private life, he even built his splendid house next to the factory.
This is my grandfather's house. It's a place full of memories for me, because as we were kids, we used to be very often in this house, and it's actually this place with the big room where we used to have all the big parties, or just come and meet my grandfather and my grandmother. It's really surrounded by objects that are very dear to my family, and full of pictures that remember different moments of our childhood and of the Zegna saga, if I can call it like this.
Ermenegildo Zegna was also a great nature lover. He had over 500,000 trees planted in order to bring new life to the mountains around Trevero. He built a new road to link the villages in the area, the spectacular Panoramica Zegna. He wanted to create a magnificent protected environment. Today, the family has established Oasi Zegna. 4th generation Laura Zegna oversees this first example of environmental patronage in Italy.
We are on top of one of the highest points of the panoramic road, facing all the marvelous Alps panorama. The project is based on the respect of nature. This is the Oasi Zegna project philosophy.
In 1993, the Oasi Zegna was launched. It's a 100 square kilometer reserve of meadows and forest with rhododendrons and hydrangeas covering the valley. Its mission is to encourage direct contact with nature through sport and tourism.
Being now so involved in such a project, it's a kind of sign of the destiny in a certain way. It gives me a lot of good feelings to think about the faraway memory of grandfather. The problems that I face every day, they must be solved with the same kind of goodwill that grandfather had.
In this episode of Luxury Unveiled, we're taking an exclusive look at Ermenegildo Zegna. The members of the family are playing host to 4 VIP customers and will lead them through the many facets of this fashion empire. Gildo Zegna, the CEO of the company, will meet up with his longtime colleague Domenico De Sole, perhaps the most highly respected manager in the luxury industry. Paolo is co-CEO of the company and the family's ambassador in China, where Zegna was one of the first luxury companies to open stores. He will play host to Mr. Wu, an entrepreneur from Shanghai. Anna, image director of Zegna, is passionate about sailing. She will be meeting German Freers, designer of some of the most expensive yachts in the world. Finally, we follow Benedetta Zegna to Rome to meet up with the American actor Danny Quinn. It's Fashion Week in New York City. Thousands of journalists and photographers have descended on the city to see what's new. Domenico De Sole and Gildo have been taking in the shows and meeting the designers before heading off to Washington, D.C. to give a public lecture on the success of the Italian fashion industry. Their expertise and specialist knowledge makes them popular guest lecturers on both sides of the Atlantic.
Both Mr. De Sole and Mr. Zegna have been at the fore of the luxury goods industry by emphasizing the value of quality materials and innovative design in their products.
I think globalization is being flexible to take decisions and to make hard choices for the interest of the brand. And I think that we have an interesting saying in the family business that a strong family makes strong brands, and strong brands make strong families.
Sometimes companies develop in unexpected ways. When Domenico De Sole took the helm of Gucci, everyone wondered who was going to be the designer.
The first lesson in life that everybody should always remember, that much better to be lucky than smart. And amongst the other people left, because everybody left Gucci at that point, was myself and a young designer that the shareholder said to me, "You got to fire him because he's too fashion forward." And I said, well, first of all, I think that let's see what the story is about fashion, non-fashion, but in any event, I say, it seems to me reasonably competent. We don't have anybody anyway, why don't we give him a chance? And the designer happened to be Tom Ford. So that was the greatest luck of my life and career. So I promoted Tom because a lot of stuff has been written about. The only reason is the only one, so I had very little choice. And, but I basically said, look, I am the businessman, I'm not a designer, I understand product, but I'm not going to design for you. So you do your job, I do mine, see what happens. Another thing I learned before I forget, and I think that another quality distinguished successful people, they get everything done a week ago. At Gucci, we're obsessed. Everything will be done now or yesterday. Once we knew the fact, we acted with speed of light, and everybody was always sure to close the circle to make sure it was follow-through was excellent. In fact, I was so impressed by Dean Hager because in order to do this conference, I received more emails from her that calls from Morgan Stanley when it took Gucci public. She sent me 500 emails and said, be here at 11:52 and 3 seconds and make sure you prepare yourself and so on and so forth. So it's a good sign of drive, competence, and follow-through.
If there were ever to be a palace of American fashion, it would be Bergdorf Goodman. Its windows are a New York institution, with a year-round team of artists creating extraordinary displays. When a designer's clothes are in the window, he knows he's made it. Zegna has had a constant presence there for over 15 years.
The Zegna client is drawn to the brand because it stands first and foremost for quality, and it stands for luxury. He feels sort of a seal of approval when he buys a piece of Zegna. He knows that he's gonna look great because the Zegna guy the Zegna product is beautifully designed. So he gets an Italian sensibility, but it's not too edgy. It's not too contemporary. It's not tricky in any way. It's just very chic and very sophisticated.
Domenico De Sole and Gildo have come in person to fine-tune the designs for the forthcoming season. Building strong long-term relationships with the best retailers is at the core of the Zegna business.
It started a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. I was at the time, I moved to Italy to take over the Gucci company, and there was a negotiation going on with Zegna to start a cooperation to do men's ready-to-wear for Gucci, and we felt it was very important to have Zegna expertise to launch the men's ready-to-wear for Gucci.